So I just wanted to tell some stories regarding auctions. So we did so many auctions and bought so many properties at auction that I went to an auction downtown Denver one time and hadn't picked up any properties that we wanted, that we bid on probably, I don't know, 50 or 60 of them, but it was so competitive. I mean, 1,000 people were there at least towards the end there in 2009, 2010. Anyways, I bid on a property that was down on Ellsworth and First. I'll never forget, and knew the neighborhood. You know, Wash Park. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Baker District, and loved those Victorian houses. Knew that they were worth about $350,000 to $400,000, and didn't know this house. Hadn't done any of my research, and we bid on it. We bid, I believe, up to $120, and got the bid. Now, while I was waiting for my bid to be called, because it takes about 20 minutes after the auctioneer is done and you win your bid, they take your name and then they follow back up with you for your monies and whatnot to close the deal. So I had about 20 minutes. I left my buddy there and I ran down on my motorcycle down to the property, walked through it really quick, and then came back and we locked up that property. It turned out to be a good deal. It was actually entertaining because we went back to the property. We'd never seen it, or he hadn't. I had by that time, after going to the closing table, and we got an offered $10,000 over what we had just bid on it. So that was towards the end when it got really busy. Back in the days when I would take down, 3, 5, 6, 7 properties at one auction, we'd bid on literally maybe 100 properties to get 5, 6, 7, 8 properties at one auction. But to give you an example, I took a friend of mine who's an appraiser, Cameron Clower. He wanted to get involved in the auction and take down a property. So he ends up, we buy a property. My girlfriend was there with me that day, and I end up locking up one in Granby on the golf course. It was a $307,000 purchase, I think. Log home on the golf course up by Winter Park in a Granby development. Amazing, award-winning golf course, of course. I had just built a custom log home myself from the ground up, so I knew what it takes. $307,000 I thought was a no-brainer. We ended up selling it, putting about $40,000 into it, and selling it for $465,000. And that was in a completely dead time. That's after the market crashed. So we bought right when the market was still good in 07, sold in 08 when the market was crashed on that one. And that was a bid in Denver, 4 properties, and we ended up picking up something in Granby, completely blind offer, and ended up driving up there that day. But to finish that part of the story, why I was signing off on that log home in Granby, my appraising friend, Cameron Clower, bid on a property he didn't have a clue about. He didn't even know where it was. I can't even remember the town. It was just above Firestone, Colorado, and a little like 11 or 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch on a lot in town. In the town, I can't remember, La Plata or something. And he bought it for like $35,000. Didn't know what to do with it. Didn't know where it was at. So when I got done signing off on the log home, of course, he's like, "Hey, I picked up a property for like $30,000. So we're like, "Well, where is it? What'd you get?" And he told us. So we ended up having a little fun, and I jumped in my truck with my girlfriend, and he jumped in his car with his buddy. He lived in Vail at the time, and I had places, of course, all over the state: Denver, Steamboat, and Frisco, and at that time, Granby, right? So we headed up to his residence first that he just purchased, and it turns out it was a little shanty, 1,100 square feet, needed about $30,000 in rehab. And then we headed up Estes Park and up over Rocky Mountain National Park, which was a gorgeous drive. I'll never forget it. I've been over it numerous times, but that day was gorgeous because we had a great score, had a treasure up there to go to. And went to the log home on the golf course, and it was gorgeous. The builder finished it off real shoddily, just barely got the carpet stretched. So it needed a few things. We had to polish it up. The tile was missing in the bathrooms, some small things like that. The floors weren't polished, the carpet wasn't installed correctly, but nonetheless, a gorgeous log home, and needed some landscaping work and a driveway. That's all it needed. 35, 40 grand that we pumped into it, including furnishings, and ended up selling that for $465. So those are a couple stories for you. But yeah, I've done blind offers. I've never lost money at an auction, and I've had a ton of success at auctions. But you do need to know your areas and your markets, and the reason why I did do blind offers on those bids is because I knew the market well enough to know that no matter how bad a shape those homes were in, I could likely fix them and still turn a good profit. So there's a couple stories for you. Auctions are fun, they're exciting, and you never know how much money you're going to make, but you're always going to make something if you leave after doing a good deal. Anyways, talk to you on the next one.